being with us today, Lord. Your presence is felt. Lord, we just pray over our county, Lord. Pray over our decisions today, Father, that you would be guiding us, and more importantly, that we would be listening. So, Lord, we thank you for your favor upon our county, our favor upon our citizens. Lord, we thank you for all the volunteerism from our county, Lord, and we are blessed in so many ways. So, Lord, just be over us today, Lord. We just pray everything in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Right there.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Gates County Board of Commissioners for July 5th, 2017. Our first order of business is to approve the minutes for our June 7th, 2017 meeting. Everyone's had a chance to read those minutes. Do I have a motion or corrections?
Madam Chairman, I submitted some observations. I don't know if the clerk got a chance to incorporate those. You did. Okay. I make a motion that we accept the minutes of June 5th meeting as modified.
Okay, a motion has been made. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and properly second. All those in favor of approving the minutes as adjusted, say aye.
Aye.
The minutes stand approved. Okay, the agenda is the printed agenda is in front of you. At this time, I know of no corrections or omissions or additions. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, a motion's been made and second to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Okay, do we have a night's delegation? Okay, Ann Howell.
Good morning, I'm Ann Howell, 29 Redwood Hill, and I was at Gates House last Friday for a birthday party, and I was asked by the activity director to issue an invitation to the Board of Commissioners. Gates County Assisted Living and Memory Care invites you to meet and greet our Executive Director, Mr. Ramon McWilliams. Thank you for being so patient with us throughout our transition over the past few months. We are moving forward to serve your loved one and your families at their needs. Wednesday, July 12, 2017, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Light refreshments will be served. We look forward to seeing you. And it says, please RSVP, but they know that y'all are invited, so I don't think that would be necessary.
Okay, could you repeat the date again? July 12th?
Wednesday, July 12th, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. We went in for our official visit, and it was Mr. McWilliams' second day on the job. So we initiated him pretty good.
Well,
And aren't they now with Affinity and not Meridian, correct?
I do not know.
Well, this does say Affinity, that's why I was.
so the name is still Gates House.
Yes. Thank you.
His name again was Nick.
Ramon McWilliams.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you committed to do as being our eyes and ears at these, at Gates High as well as Guyanese. We do appreciate your volunteerism.
Guyanese, which is now Accordius.
Okay, I can't keep up with the names.
I can't get used to it.
Okay, I believe this is the new president of the COA.
Yes, ma'am.
If you will come up and
Thank you. Thank you for giving me a few moments to introduce myself this morning. I appreciate that. My name is Bob Weinecker. I am the new president of the College of the Albemarle. My Board of Trustees Chair, Paul O'Neill, apologizes for not being able to make it this morning. He overslept just a little bit. He had some busy stuff to do at work, and he was up late last night and didn't quite get out here today. Whenever academics introduce themselves, there's always a standard format we follow. We talk about our degrees we've earned and the places we've worked. And I'll do that for you quickly, but that's really not the interesting part of talking with you today. I have bachelor's and master's degrees in mathematics from Tennessee Technological University, a second master's degree in engineering from the University of Tennessee, and then a doctorate in education from Valdosta State University in Georgia. I spent the first 12 years of my career teaching mathematics for the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. I left it. I'm a slow learner sometimes. It took me 12 years to figure out that even though I was very successful at the university, it really wasn't where my heart was. It wasn't where I belonged. I left the university and found a job as a dean at Dartmouth College in Albany, Georgia. I spent 7 years there before I got a call from a friend of my president who had seen me the week before at my campus and said, I need that guy at my campus. Brought me down to Tampa, Florida, at Hillsborough Community College to be the Dean of Arts and Sciences there. So I went from a school of about 4,000 students to a school of about 45,000 students. I spent 6 years at Hillsborough Community College before moving to Carson City, Nevada, where I was the Vice President for Academic and Student Affairs at Western Nevada College. Borrowing a line from a friend of mine at the American Association of Community Colleges, I wasn't born in North Carolina, but I spent the first 52 years of my life trying to get here. And thanks to COA, I finally arrived. I am delighted to be the president of COA. I think you've got a wonderful community college to partner with, and we appreciate your assistance and your support as well. I will tell you that Gates County was the very first county this year to send their letter of support, and we greatly appreciate that. The things that the county does to help the school are very valuable to us, and we appreciate what you do for us. I have one piece of information that I'd like to share with people that I picked up about a month ago. The American Association of Community Colleges releases data every couple of years, and about a month ago was the time for that again. And part of that data says that a student, a worker with an associate's degree, earns on average about $126 a week more than that equivalent worker without that associate's degree. And $126 doesn't sound like much, but over a year's time, that's $6,600. Tuition at COA for the 2 years that it takes to earn that associate's degree is less than $6,000. If you can find me an investment anywhere else in North Carolina where I can put in less than $6,000 over 2 years and get back more than $6,000 every year for the rest of my career, I will take that investment every time. Our community colleges are wonderful investments for you, for your students, and for the population in the county. We appreciate the work you do for us. And if there's anything else I can do for you, please don't hesitate to let me know.
Well, we appreciate you coming and making to Gates County, and certainly we are very familiar with students who have been there and who have gone on to apprentice school and various other places. I doing work at COA or nursing programs and whatever. So we are very appreciative of your efforts on behalf of our students.
Happy to do so. Gates County over the last 5 years has averaged right at about 150 students coming to COA each year. Sometimes a little bit lower, but never more than about 10 students either way.
And I believe you furnished one of your teachers or professors for our APUS history.
All right. I'll be happy to share cards with the secretary on my way out. And if there's anything I can do, please don't hesitate to reach out to me.
And I would just tell you that we have Dr. Williams, who's our superintendent, is right there, and Ray Belton is our chairman of the Board of Education.
Oh, good. I'll get you some cards as well.
I was going to do the same thing, but I was going to say, the little story you told about $6,000, I would encourage you to tell that story everywhere you go.
That's quite a return on investment.
That's a great little story that people can wrap their head around.
Also, it's a great little story for even those who are going on to a four-year school who do that for 2 years, with the cost of higher education.
Oh, absolutely.
And I was going to say that, you have a better feel for how we can plug in to what's going on at your college. So if you'll let us know by coming to see us or sending us an email or flyer, whatever, anything that's new, so that we don't find out about it too far down the game, that would be tremendous.
Be happy to keep you in the loop.
Thank you.
One other question. As far as transferable credits to a four-year institution, how does COA line with that? I mean, most of your
There is a statewide agreement between the community college system and the university system that if you earn the associate's degree and a transferable associate's degree, Several of the associate's degrees we offer are not in transferable programs. But if you earn an associate's degree that is a transferable degree, then it does transfer to the university. On specific areas, we do make individual agreements with universities. For instance, I'm working on one in agriculture right now with North Carolina State to get specific courses involved in that agreement. But in general, there is an agreement between the community college system and the university system for North Carolina.
Very good.
Yes, sir.
I have a question also, is Paul O'Neill, your chairman, is he from Dare County, the time back?
Currituck.
He didn't move to Dare County?
No, he's still in Currituck.
Okay.
He's been to most of the counties in the region, I know, at one point or another, but he is in Currituck at the moment.
I thought he shared that he was moving to Dare County.
He probably would like to. Anything else?
No, but thank you for coming and leave us your cards, and we appreciate your efforts.
Thank you very much.
Okay, this time we do have a Helen Ewart as a ninth delegate, and also introducing new personnel.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, and manager, I am very excited to introduce Nettie Walker is our newest employee. She started Monday and then had a holiday yesterday. She did such a great job on Monday.
You didn't fire her off for a second.
And she came back today. She is our new area commercial horticulture and forestry agent. She is filling the position that Aaron Ewart was in that has been vacant for a little over a year at this point. So we are really excited to get her on board. And she is coming in during the middle of the growing season, so we haven't let her get over to Chowan County yet, because I know they're going to suck her up for a while, but we are excited to have her, and hope you all will introduce yourselves and make her feel welcome throughout the time here in our office. But Nettie Walker.
Welcome aboard. I need some help on my land tenants, they're not doing well.
She says commercial horticulture.
I could be selling these. Yeah, that's right. Well, welcome. Glad to have you on board. Okay, moving to administrative reports. County manager.
This is for May 25th through June 16th. For planning, I personally handled 30 items related to planning and zoning, which included signed zoning permits, calls, emails, and meetings, and TRC reviewed 3 plats. Neither board of adjustment nor the planning board met during the month of June. Central Middle School update, and this is as of June 16th. Ray Felton will provide a more detailed update during the permit fees for the Central Middle School request, because things have changed since this report. The meetings were held with Davenport and Company to discuss financial advising for Central Middle School, and following the June 7th Board of Commissioners meeting, a contract was signed with Davenport. The Board of Education has been told by their attorney they cannot begin demolition of the 8th grade wing of Central until a guaranteed maximum bid is established by A.R. Chesson. The plan is to install HVAC units and move phone and cable wires this summer. On May 25th, Christy Byron and I attended a personal law class. We have not received an update from Clearscapes regarding the historic courthouse renovation. I hope to provide some more details at our July 17th meeting. I would like to introduce Lisa Cherry, who began work Monday as planner in GIS position. We are very excited. She comes to us from Virginia DOT in a planning position as well.
Welcome aboard.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Yes. County manager, could you give us a little update on Springfield?
We have finally received our final permit, and I say it like that because they've had paperwork since either the end of August or beginning of September
Of last year.
of last year. And Asa Williams has received all the information. We did receive an actual email from Asa last week that told what the EDA design needs to look like. So we are awaiting his final approval on the spray field. So nothing can be done until EDA approves it.
EDA, wait on EDA.
The state has given us all the permits that we need.
Okay. you got any idea about,
EPA works on their own time, and so I do not know.
we may need to call some.
We've already contacted Butterfield, so that's why EDA has it right now,
Okay.
through Butterfield's office.
All right, don't want me to belabor this, but what about the PCG report? I believe Commissioner Felton was going to talk to the PCG.
The PCG does not meet again until
Next spring.
perhaps next spring. We might meet before then, depending on what happens. They have, well, I'm not sure what they have interviewed, and they have selected a candidate according to Ralph Hollowell, spoke with him Monday. They're going to make a job offer to replace Brad Gardner. So they may have a meeting sometime this fall. But otherwise, PCG does not meet again until probably March.
And I think that meeting is going to bring up the fact of what was proposed to us about putting up a banner to have items donated directly to the citizens of the county rather than take them to a convenience site.
We discussed that. That would, it would not received very favorably. It would put the county into a position, if we let one group advertise out there to do this, then the next group comes along and we end up being a public billboard out there rather than a collection site. Probably not gonna happen.
I had one citizen that was aware that proposal was brought to the board, I mean, just from the podium. And they told me that probably a good solution to that would be if they bring that forth again, that, these like campaign signs that, have the metal things, that if they wanted to do that on their own, there's a right of way, that anybody is able to use as a citizen. But I think I would agree with this individual as well as maybe what you were saying, that could create advertising for one business having to do likewise for others. But this citizen brought this before me, just brought this to me out of the blue, that would be a good solution for them to, if they want to advertise for themselves.
I also believe that the PGC has signs up at some of their locations, like, you're not supposed to go in the dumpster and take things out.
So I think
Into their facilities. So you've got to be careful along those lines as well. How about someone calls in, gets injured, there's a variety of
I think it was referring to those items that are put in the house specifically in that little special house.
But
You don't have to have permission to take, that's not, theirs was just to encourage people not to even take it to the convenience site to start
But only-
with. And there's only one swap house, and that's the one there in Sunbury.
All right, one other item, County Manager, the health, the Gates House Community Health Center Director, were you able to make contact with her?
She is supposed to be coming to the meeting in July, at the 19th.
19th. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Finance. You have anything? Okay, tax, Kathy. Lynn?
Good morning.
Good morning.
First of all, welcome to new employees, Ms. Sherry. Look forward to working with you, certainly in the coming months. Got 2 reports. We closed out month end, and you got our physical year-end summation there. I'll be happy to answer any questions. I do want to point out that we are collection percentage-wise ahead where we were last year, and that's what we want to continue to see. We closed out with 96.25% overall for the year. There's still a portion of the 16 bills uncollected, with about $698,000, which follows a foreclosure list when we get to later, so a method of enforced collections. We billed out a little more than we had in previous years. We had a couple new things on the books as we go through the solar farms, a few new businesses. So billing out over 6.6 million and collecting a good percentage of that. We're doing, what we intend to do with that. Any other specific questions? We got some totals from ZLS in there with foreclosure activity in year end. Looks like, in terms of that, as far as Zacchaeus legal service with $103,178 for the physical year with what they collected on behalf of Gates County. So we're pleased with that. That one sale, final conclusion is going to be worked out, the one that sold the Darren Lassiter property between the representative, Mr. God, representing the lady who purchased it, as well as Mark Mardell and his staff. So I think we're pleased with that activity.
I observed that we collected $6 million, just had here, $6,167,316. And I believe we budgeted about $5 million something.
Yes, not knowing,
Right.
yeah,
But of course, all of this includes some prior years and so forth.
it does, yeah, and you always, actually, you want to kind of see that, you don't want to be under, you'd rather have it on the other deals.
So my question to our finance officer and county manager is how soon do we know how much we're able to put in fund balance this year? All of the overage that comes in that we haven't, that's over what we budgeted, we're going to put that in fund balance. So how long will it be before we will know how much fund balance additions we'll have this year?
Well, I am working on that finance summary report for you. I'm hoping to have something ready for you by the next meeting.
But officially, we will not know officially until all is completed, because we still pay bills from June, sometimes until August and September. And then, of course, we are pulling, as you have some amendments today, to pull money forward because it was not expended last fiscal year, and it's still, we're continuing this fiscal year. So this is going to be a couple of months before we got that done.
Well, when you do, I would like to see that pulled out, how much fund
Yes,
balance
sir. Yeah.
additions we've had as a result of revenue over expenditures.
I'd like to thank you for the information that your department got me on that particular property. That's, so thank you for your help from Zacchaeus on that. The transactions that took place with Zacchaeus, just to sort of restate it, or maybe ask the question again, through those processes, those attorney's fees, Zacchaeus' fees, have become a lien. We paid that deal ourselves, I guess, but they become a lien on the property.
They do, yes.
So at some point,
We get our money back.
we will get our money back. It may be a long time.
Yeah, you do, and it's a unique process. The fees are added initially to the years based on, Ms. Chavis keys those in based on receiving $600, $800 accordingly. And then when that property is sold, there is the bid fee, and in the case of the Darren Lassiter property, a demo fee also, which we were able to collect the funds of that, which will be collected upon recording that deed. That's our policy, and all of that will come to the county and be, distributed accordingly. So yes.
And are we able to capture our expense for having to advertise in the paper for these? We are able to do that as well. Okay.
As part of the fees.
Let's see. Oh, and one other thing. On the solar farms, a rough estimate here, or exact if you can, what did the value of per acre, did that fluctuate any, or was it across the board?
It does not. It's $8,000 per acre, regardless of location, regardless if it's with road frontage or off-road. That is a standard based on our schedule values that.
And the states gives us information about that.
They offer for a recommendation, yes, ma'am. A lot of counties have gone with the 5 to 8. Some counties have gone as much as 12 and 15,000 per acre on the high end of value. However, Department of Revenue said between 5 and 8 is a reasonable price per acre to code it as commercial.
And that same acre being agriculture, prior to it being a solar farm, the value of that acre was,
On the typical end, if they were in present use, as high as $1,200 an acre. If they were not in present use, the farm rate, if you will, could be $5,400 per acre. So that's a little bit of margin, just for sample, standards, with preschool, road frontage, things like that. About 5,400 versus the 8,000.
thank you.
Okay. Any other overall questions or comments? We closed out our fiscal year end, once again, Mayor Brown.
This may be more of a question for the county manager, and, but our minutes from our last closeout meeting, we didn't approve those.
I have nothing to do with the NR, sir, that's tax.
Well, normally, in the past, over the past years, we have approved the NR minutes during our commission meeting, but we haven't done it lately. As a matter of fact, we haven't had a DNR in the last 7 years. But certainly something we need to take a look at.
They can be provided at the next meeting.
Well, we can take care of that in the 19.
Just administrative.
Yeah, yes, sir, absolutely. We can afford that again. Right. Speaking of course, collections and getting some of that delinquency accounted for and paid for, in your packet you did receive a list to submit to Zacchaeus. This is after efforts of contacting people via letter with that chain of standard itemized list that we go through every year, and when we don't, have that feedback, this is our next step. To get some of that money back on the books. There's 46 accounts listed there. It will be myself and Ms. Chavis's 4th assignment since our tenure here to be sent. 8th assignment overall has been sent to Zacchaeus. If it please the Lord, we would like to work towards getting these accounts submitted to begin the process. They'll send out some of that initial letters. Zacchaeus will.
So are you asking for a motion for us
Yes,
to
yes.
approve
Yeah.
the sending of these accounts on this paper? And you said it was 48?
Or it's about 46, yes, ma'am.
46.
Yes, ma'am, that would be.
Okay. To begin the process.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Okay, a motion has been made to send these 46 accounts to Zacchaeus. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? So you have a,
And Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a comment. Jack, I did a little math on trying to figure out how many tax dollars were assumed, and I averaged it out about 700 or something for the entire county. I'm talking about the difference. Just as an average.
And Madam Chairman, just for the audience, I'd like to say that the 46 entries that will be submitted to the attorney, the total taxes due on those are $42,419.09. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
thank you for the job you do in trying to get some of these delinquent taxes off the books. Okay, department reports. First, will you have anything? They started work on the roof of the courthouse.
Well, not yet, it's in process.
That has not been bid out, they've not submitted designs.
Okay.
I have a question on, Lisa, Commissioner Jordan got a whole lot of questions today. On the customer service department, I noticed we had 54 disconnects. How many of those 54 were reconnected by June 18th, which is your report date of this. I'm just a little curious, you know, we disconnected it before, and when we disconnect water, usually someone's gonna come in, did we have 100% or did we have 90%? I mean, I'm just curious
We
about.
usually have about 100%, but it's not within 48 hours like you think it would be.
But normally, out of those 54,
They're reconnected.
it would be interesting to know why someone, if they were disconnected, that they would not come in and get reconnected.
Sometimes they cut those locks and reconnect it themselves, and we have to go back out there and recheck on that.
All right. If you have that information, I'd certainly like to be aware of it.
Well, and again, that's on the individual basis, you know, if they don't, you know, it could be falling into the time frame that they just have the water turned off, relocation, whatever. But yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Teresa's not here. I see Mr. Hedgepath is here. I do appreciate you including in your report this time for the water department, your interest on your list. I do appreciate that. Get some of these lists that we hear about. How many, and we're pleased that you have corrected us, how many more leaks do you think you have?
Well, considering I fix two, and one more pops up, fix one, two pops up, it's a revolving door. I'd say probably roughly right now, around,
Yeah, around the world, 9 to 10.
And of course, I know this is a prime time about it because the temperature's right and hopefully it'll be dry, it was dry this week. That you can get out and do this. But keep up the good work and continue to fix those. And I still have a list.
I do have one thing that I need to, I guess, bring you abreast of. The spray field, the existing spray field, they pulled the failed pump out and it broke loose. So the cement slab that they had to cut in order to extract that pump is now in the bottom of the contact chamber. In order to retrieve that, we need to get Tri-State out to completely pump the contact chamber out. And that's a $2,500 expense that'll be added on top of the existing jet bill for retrieval and pump repair and pump replacement.
So who was responsible for cutting the cement? I mean, was it?
That was the jet well pump. That was the only way they could retrieve the pump.
And is that at the solid?
Honey pot, the existing spray field.
Tim, I was curious, on this list right here,
Yes, sir.
the we got there in map for us, how much into that was age related to?
The ones that you see, the tubing as well as pipe leak, anytime you see that, it's two repairs that take place at one time. They're the old style knock-in taps that were put in 78, 79, and those are failing. The gasket, the grommet that seals that tap into the pipe is what's failing. So when that happens, we have to go upstream, downstream, shut off water for that section, remove that, repair that hole, and re-tap the pipe with a modern-day satellite tap.
And,
So that takes an hour and a half job and turns into a 3-hour job.
and one of the reasons I was asking that, I noticed that the location is, I'm sure when the water system was put down, it was a part of the county here, and then this one was next, and this one was next. And I see here that we're looking at 2 drum hills, 4 Highway 32s, and I didn't know if that might be some indication of an area we're going to be going first or not.
No, we're starting to see a lot of high-traffic roads having no effects, and I guess you could call it improper installation. When the tap and the tubing come out was made, in the 70s, they believed that it was better to make that tap at a 45. Well, guess when they brushed and backfilled, plus they were using stainless steel inserts or hardeners, when they backfilled it, where the tap come this way, which is solid, it would pull the tubing down. And that stainless steel hardener would rub, and in high traffic, and believe it or not, there's a pile of vibration in the road. It would eventually, that stainless steel hardener would shake the tubing and put a hairline split in it. And most of those leaks, when you dig it up and expose it, it's literally a solid mist coming out. But back when the ground gets saturated from that mist, and just the pressure, once it finds a path of least resistance, is what gives it the appearance of high flood.
Okay, any additional questions? Thank you, and continue working on this list. Okay, any other reports? Moving on to, I did receive articles of interest, North Carolina Educational Lottery, and I have a nice book about all they're doing for our schools. Of course, the problem is they're not giving all the money they're supposed to give to the schools, as we well know. So for this, they claim we're making a difference. Of course, some money is better than no money, but we just wanted to get up to 40% it's supposed to be for our schools. But if anybody would like to read this, they spent a lot of money on this book that put it on to us. So, we are. Any other articles of interest? Anything coming up with the county, on the county calendar that we need to know about? Okay, that ends the administrative reports. So there's no public hearings. There's no old business. Now, the first item of new business is Central Middle School. Recognize Superintendent Dr. Williams and Board Chair, Ms. Phillips.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Two items before we get to something. Number one, I had a call this morning from John Ward, who used to be from Sunbury. His name was Eric TV. It's calling from a New Mexico phone. Calling wanting to know what to do with money in the class of 87, wanted to give to the high school. So he did the right direction. He's one of Gates County's major success stories. Typically, definitely. Other item of news is Dr. Williams recently graduated from law school. He now has a degree in school of law. So one more thing we get his name out.
Congratulations.
Like I said, we're very proud of him for that accomplishment. We had a meeting on June the 20th. Included that meeting with Daniel Plyler, A.R. Chestnut, also Ray Campbell, Sheriff Hathaway, Dr. Williams, Randy Baker, John Smith, the technology person, Steve Hunter, the principal at Central, Johnny Green, who's the new maintenance director. You need to know that Johnny Green is hit the ground running and is doing a tremendously fine job. He has a very good grasp on what's going on with the whole system. When you ask him a question, he gives you a very good answer. Not something to blow you off, and certainly not anything that would cause you to wonder, does he know what he's talking about? It baffles with brilliance and struggle trying to bamboozle you with something else. And then I was in that meeting. I took a lot of notes. I'm going to share some of them with you because I want y'all to be informed. With your permission in the future, as we have meetings, I'm going to take notes, and I'd like to just email y'all what took place in those meetings. The last thing I want y'all to do is feel like you're a bunch of red-headed stepchildren. I want you informed of what's going on. We welcome questions if you have any. Rest assured that what we're doing is trying to make the best decisions to spend our money wisely and to look after the children. Speaking of spending our money wisely, as things stand right now, we're looking at spending in the neighborhood of $50,000 this year, Mr. Jordan, as opposed to the 100 we talked about at the last meeting. So we're doing all we can to look at what we can do to cut costs and to be effective in how we spend the money. First thing is we need to determine if arrangements for temporary measures meet code. So you're going to hear about some changes from what you heard last time. And I think Ms. Rancher mentioned that, Ms. Alpha One, that we were unable to tear down the building this time because state law doesn't allow it. We've got to have a guaranteed maximum bid before we can do anything with that nature. So that, they're really through a left hand monkey wrench at us. Progress is in, they get quotes for working with different systems to prepare for close down. I think this week we'll be getting the telephone lines moved into the data. We thought that was happening last week, but Ms. Rancher informed us that was to fix a screw up on the part of Central Line. Randy Baker, the architect's pleased with the electrical and data plans, and request that we do as-built sketches on anything we change. Major item of note is Baker does not anticipate reconfiguration of bathrooms in the seventh grade wing, which would be a considerable cost because the reason they're not being reconfigured and they are not ADA compliant is that they're close enough to the ADA compliant bathrooms in the eighth grade wing that could keep us from having to spend that extra money. So that's a big deal. Also, Randy Baker understands that the QZAB funds are available, but it will not necessarily be used depending on if we can get the construction done for under $6 million for new homes. As long as we can do 6 or less on that, we'll be able to use QZAB. If it's 6 or more, we will have to go to Plan B on that. Baker suggested we scope the drain lines on the seventh grade wing because we could have cracks or something that it would cause us to have to cut that floor up. So we just need to know what we're dealing with ahead of time. So we'll be getting a camera set in those lines to make sure what we're dealing with by it. I talked about mechanical systems that in the HVAC. And when we were here last, we were talking about putting in the board units in the wall and having that done ahead of time. Mr. Green was aware that it was going to produce quite a bit of extra work on his part. And then A.R. Chesson cautioned that in doing that, we could actually cost ourselves more money because when we go to replace windows where those board units have been installed, they would have to be removed and worked around and just create a whole lot of extra work. So if we're not going to be installing the board units, instead we're going to be putting heat strips in the existing units. And that's going to cost $10,000. It's going to be wasted, but we feel like it'll be less money wasted than if we put the board units in there. So that's where most of your 50,000 savings came in, Mr. George.
That's what you put in these, when?
This is the seventh grade plan. We talked about the roof, and I think I told y'all before, the roof is going to continue to be a, quote, flat roof. It's actually a thermoplastic sheet that's in there as opposed to what had been historically done a plastic type roof. And it will have tapered insulation under it, so it'll actually have a slope of 1/4 to 1/2 inch per foot. So water will not stand on it, and that's, I think the picture most of us have is another picture of a flat roof, is a perfectly flat roof with rock to keep the wind from blowing the covering up, and water laying on top of that. And that is something we do not anticipate. There's some talk about putting HVAC units on top of the school. I strongly caution Mr. Baker to have a very good argument on why he would put anything on top of that membrane to risk a leak. If you don't have traffic up there, and you don't have a penetration, there are two things you've gotten rid of that can bite you. So I've cautioned them not to do that. Not that I'm an expert, but I just know what's been on the buildings that I've got. And I know that penetrations and walking are not good on flat roofs. A note from Baker, DPI does not like the barred units that we intend to install. And then after we got into quite a bit of discussion on that, we found that the lack of pleasure with barred units comes mostly from one mechanical engineer out there named Johnny Clark, and that there should be no problem with barred units. And Mr. Baker says that the service should be fully as good a battle with barred units as it would be with a 4-pipe system, which is what DPI likes. And the thing that Joe Green and Joe Harrell and Johnny Green both agree on is when you have the 4-pipe system, you have a lot of proprietary equipment, and when something goes out, you got to spend big dollars to fix it because they're the only people that can touch it. So we're trying to stay away from that. On the traffic, we've had quite a few things to talk about on that, trying to have a good flow. And the final deal that we've come up with is we're going to use the driveway on 158 Business for most of the traffic to come into. Correct me if I'm wrong. And that traffic will continue to drive towards the back of the building. And then back of the 7th grade wing, there will be a circular drive there around where the traffic will just continue to flow in a circle, and so we'll be able to double stack those cars on the east end and behind the building when parents come to pick up children. The buses will be stored at the old prison camp. And when we get right for them to come, they'll be called by radio to come down and load up. They'll pull up in front of the school. They'll be released at 3:10. And then after they leave, the cars will be allowed to pull in front of the building and load students. And they should be able to do that in a double line in front of the school to expedite that matter. They'll be supervised by the principal, assistant principal, and Officer Campbell. So we expect that to be a smooth play. We had originally talked about having classes in the cafeteria. And as we studied that more and more, we decided that was probably not as feasible as we would like to think it was, because when you put petitions up, you still got noise going over the petitions. So we've identified some trailers that we can move in from T.S. Cooper and elsewhere. So we're going to set up 3 trailers behind the 6th grade wing, between the driveway and the 6th grade wing. And we'll have them remodeled and ready for school. And that's where the classes will be. So we feel like we've got a good arrangement for that. Mr. Jordan, you always talk about saving money. We're trying to make money on this deal.
That sounds good to me. Also on leaving, we talked about letting some students out the back door. That won't happen. Everything will come out the front door. We'll actually use 2 doors, the cafeteria double doors, and then as you head south,
aside from that is a breezeway door that will eventually be closed off for construction. But for the most part, that's going to remain open. So with the students will be using those doors that are in the school.
I have a construction question. What about the construction traffic? Are they going to put in a new driveway for the
Not
construction?
planning on it right now, but they're going to control the construction traffic by that not happening while we have current traffic, student traffic.
With the situation we're in now, where we can't start preliminary work as we anticipated, where are we in regards to bids, and do we plan to start any work prior to school opening?
But everything is up to anything, architecture. You can't do anything till you got your things drawings. And, I don't know, well, any of us would even on the board when the gym at the high school was built. We were expecting drawings on that when they came due. There were none. The architect we had hired had gone bankrupt, had not made any drawings. And then we had the hustle and we had all grades of problems. And so Dr. Williams and I sometime in the month of July will be going to Charlotte to look at drawings and make sure things are moving. We expect the drawings to be to us late August, or sometime during August, I think is what he promised. So he said sometime during August. He's got to hustle, because as far as I know, we haven't seen anybody down here to survey the electrical, existing conditions on electrical and cables.
And we can't do anything about bidding tonight until we got the drawings.
You gotta have the drawings before you get it.
Then once we get the drawings, we're talking possibly 120 days to get proposals and selections of contractors.
You're talking 30 days after you get drawings, I think it will be 10 days before they go out.
What I've got here is a tentative schedule, and I've got it on the district webpage, kind of maybe the questions that you're asking, and I just highlighted some bullets about all the information Chairman Felton has given here. Maybe this may help each of you. Is relocation right now, relocation of all school equipment and material from the administrative and eighth grade wing is currently until August the 18th. Permanent relocation of utilities to facilitate the work, like Mr. Shelton said, your phone, your fire alarm, your intercoms, your data, your storage, your source, your power, all that stuff is currently until August the 18th. Repair vacated building for demolition is from August the 7th to mid-October. Install construction safety fence for traffic flow and student safety during the 17-18 school year. That's July 31st, August 4th. What's our first day of school is the 28th. This is what you were asking. Preparation and construction of drawings is currently until August 31st. Review and receive construction bids is August 31st to September 30th. Building demolition, we could go from mid-October to November 30th. New construction begins December 1st.
So we're going to be in the middle of the school year as
Yes, sir.
we're actively working.
Yes, sir.
We were planning on, we were told to expect 12 months of actual construction after demolition.
And that also depends on the LDC approval as well.
I started to say that, if we don't get it in October, we've got to wait for the autumn this year.
And the first day of school is?
August 28th.
Making money. I understand there's a lot of interest in people that have attended that school, that they have a piece of it as a memento of auspicious occasions. So the idea has come up that we might sell the gym floor. So we're trying to think about how we're going to sell the gym floor and how we're going to take it up in pieces that people can display when they get it done.
I played a lot of basketball in that gym floor, but I like one board to do that.
And he has a lot of money, so he can figure out.
I didn't know that.
In the old school that I went to, did the same thing, and they tore up the gymnasium. They had somebody local make frames, wooden frames. They took a picture of the school or a watercolor or something like that and put that inside the frames of the gym floor, made the frame. And they sold it.
And lunch is what they served in the lunchroom as usual. And then, the new building includes furniture and fixtures. Right now, the stuff has been taken out of the school, and stored in Millersboro. All the books and the air conditioned, area of our front office, and the rest of the stuff is in a large warehouse at the back. Nobody goes there, and no reason to like about it. When our first school failed, we came back and y'all asked for Plan B. And this was Plan B, but our first plan included athletic facilities that I personally feel like our students deserve. I go look at my other grandchildren, and I see them with very nice athletic facilities, and we're still engaged in the ballpark out there in the Triangle next to Charlie. We're not much better off than what we were back then in the 50s. Of a more pressing need that was included in the original plan was an alternative school, which takes the students that have personal problems, don't want to learn, can't learn, disruptive. The students that cause the students that want to learn to get a lesser education. We had that sixth grade wing was going to be dedicated to that. Now we can't do that. So just let y'all know that once we get this done, we're going to certainly have to be looking at that. I have teachers tell me about, leave me around the corner, and one in particular, Billy Escape Walker, that tells me the immediate need of us doing that. I've had other teachers do it as well. But it's something we need to address, and Ms. Hopper, I'm sure you sympathize with our problem.
Absolutely. Of course, the state is going, it looks like they're going to put forth some bond issues, and that we hopefully will be prepared to jump on as soon as they come. So, because everything I read, it says they want it, so almost that you have your shovel ready when you apply, so that you can get those. And they're supposed to be geared to tier 1, rural counties, people that have structural problems with going to schools. So I feel like we should be qualified for those.
And Dr. Williams is serving on some committees in Raleigh.
So I'm hoping that we can take
We
advantage of
got a
those.
foot in the door already on that.
Well, we may be getting, if this is passed, the election in November of 2019, or 2018, if that passes, then tier 1 and tier 2 schools will be allotted a certain amount of money. And we're out to develop a relationship with Senator Harry Brown, Gates County prosecutor for $14 million for facilities. And that can be new construction, that can be renovations, that can be used for anything. So that ballot is very important, and I think people across the state should really support that.
That will help us a great deal.
I was asked to speak at Roofing Club a couple of months ago and to talk about the county, and talking about the county all migrated to central Minnesota. So everything I told him was quite factual. You check this out.
And you got to understand,
It's developing, right?
some people say you make me look like a fool. I said you're going to do this, that, and the other, and you changed everything. But you can't think of everything at once, and when you play A, sometimes you got to follow with the deuce instead of the form.
And dealing
That's
with
exactly where we are.
when you dealing with all the government agencies, there's a lot of hoops that you got to jump through that you don't have to do in a private business world.
Yeah.
I was speaking from current information. So, but I did ask the question, I polled the group about those trees, because I think I know I mentioned maybe here, or maybe a meeting we had or something, about the trees out front. What would you think would be a good idea about all those trees out there? And the consensus was, get them out of the way. So, I mean, maybe not all of them, some of them, you know, said leave one here, one there, whatever, I'll just throw that out at you. I don't know.
You wrote that in weeks, it's hard.
Oh, did I? But anyway, that's what consensus
No,
was.
that's something, even like the problem is when you do that, it's how much money you're gonna have to spend to get it where you can.
Yeah,
But,
because you want to get the stumps up, you don't just cut the trees down.
so we got to look at what we can afford to do as opposed to what we would like to do, what we think would be the right thing.
You know, the trailers that Mr. Bell was talking about, those are trailers that we already have that we're moving, so we're not first saving them.
Okay, I believe one of the reasons you're here today that you want to ask like permit fees and be waived for Central Middle School, and also the tap fees. Now, and I was a little concerned about that. I thought we already had everything tapped in.
Well, we think we do, but, you know, we thought we had everything, the last bit we can, y'all, so we'd rather address them now than get down the road and find out we got to have a different tap for some reason, and that not be addressed.
Okay, do I have a motion from the
Madam Chairman, I'll make a motion that the Board of Commissioners waive the tap fees and permit fees for the Central Middle School renovation and construction project.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second that motion, Madam Chairman.
Do I have any discussion? Hearing none. About a show of hands, all, show of right hand, all those in favor, raise your right hand. I'm left-handed, I'm sorry. The vote is 5-0, so that passed.
Mr. Jordan had his string, he did.
I don't know what's going on with that right hand, you know.
But we thank y'all very much.
Thank you for keeping us in the loop.
And thank you for both of you coming, and I'm assuming that meeting you had with all those people there, the next time you're going to meet, same people are going to be there each time?
This meeting was to discuss how we were going to handle the flow of students. Most of them will probably be there, but I can't promise you who right now. But we'll get a report on what the next one.
Ray, you mentioned, it seems like, you know, on a later basis, it might be good to go ahead and do that, what you've got now.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank y'all so much for coming.
I hope Scanlon and Southern Iowa side.
Madam Chairman, I have a comment with the question a little bit. Congratulations on completing your law school. Is it your Stockford or your degree?
No, it's a master's.
Just a master's in law?
Administration K through 12. Can't take the bar, but I don't have time to take the bar right now.
Where did you complete that?
No, Southeastern University. And that's it. They're 4 years to do that.
Congratulations.
We appreciate you.
Okay, thank you. Moving right along, we have a couple of recommendations for the personnel board. As you see, once again, trying to, I think, one is from DSS, one of the employees, which is grade 25, step 18, effective July 1st, 2017. Do I have a motion?
Madam Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the personnel recommendation to move DSS employee from the grade 25 to a grade 25, step 18, effective July 1.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion's been made, and second, any discussion? And we're doing this because of what the state recommendation for the job, these, what her salary should be. and we have to comply with state regulations. Okay, here goes our discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. Okay, the second recommendation from the Building and Grounds is to increase the salary for the supervisor to grade 18, step 12, to be effective July 1st, 2017. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Motion's been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Once again, this was to, a raise was given to an employee and that there needed to be a degree of separation between the supervisor and the employee. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed. Okay. The next one is local government regulations concerning tobacco. Yes, our current policy is that we have no smoking in the buildings. There is a proposal in front of us to enlarge that policy to include county-owned vehicles that have no smoking in those, as well as on the grounds of county-owned buildings.
And vapor.
What?
And vapor products.
And vapor products. So, you know, vapor has become something new. These e-cigarettes and all have come into being. Of course, they sometimes catch on fire. You've seen those videos. So he's trying to bring it up. I would say, you know, the school system already has no smoking on the premises of the school, on their properties. So this would increase the areas of non-smoking.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I looked over the ordinance, and we don't have our attorney here right now, but one of the things that concerns me is that the penalty for someone violating smoking restriction is a $50 penalty after, I think, about the second notice. And the ordinance clearly states that this is not a misdemeanor. But it doesn't clearly provide, how do you collect? If someone decides they don't want to pay you fine, you decide $50, there's no means that I can see where, you know, you can turn it over to enforce that. How would you collect on it?
Well, you could, I mean, you issue a citation. I think that was in the last paragraph, wasn't it?
It's not, it does say in the last paragraph.
Citation may be issued by a sworn law enforcement officer.
Okay, so at that point in time, it would go to court if they did not pay. You take them to court. You can't charge them cost of court. And it's not a misdemeanor, so the judge, what is the judge going to do if you don't pay? Probably need an attorney here. It just almost seems like that what we're doing is we're saying, just pick it all fine if you pay good, but, you know, if you don't, I guess, you know, they'll tap in the hands, they don't do it again. But those that pay $50 and those that don't pay $50, there's a disparity there. It's not an equal thing here, so I would like some clarity on that as to what happens if someone doesn't pay. Because you're gonna have some that, if they do violate, they are gonna pay, but others may not. And all of a sudden, you've got a disparity in the ordinance that we have.
If I may just make a statement based on what our ordinance currently says about the $500 violation, ever since I've been at work, we've never fined anyone for this. Most people, just to let you know that we're not collecting fines currently, most times if someone is asked to move or to do, you know, stop smoking in this area, they comply.
And I recognize that, but at the same time, I think it's something we need to be clear on. If we're putting something in an ordinance, it needs to be something that's workable, something that's equal for everyone. And I'd just like some clarity on that.
And if I may, Madam Chairman, as the citations go and the infractions, and of course the sheriff's here and can clarify along with me, but if it is adjudicated and it is assessed as a fine to that person and it's not collected, the judge can place them on supervised probation or on probation until they,
Well, first of all, we've got to get the admissibility in first. So in order to, what sworn law enforcement other than the sheriff's office do you have in the county besides highway patrol? So are these for county employees? Is this, okay, you're talking about an ordinance. It says approval of tobacco ordinance. You said sworn law enforcement, who are you talking about?
But first of all, it's for every citizen.
It's
It's
every
not-
citizen, I
Yeah.
mean, anybody who walks on the, like into the courthouse, there'll be no smoke.
Mhm.
I mean, it's not,
But my question is, the ordinance says sworn law enforcement. That could be highway patrol, that could be, I mean, who are you gonna want to issue these citations, first of all? Then when the citation get issued, it's a North Carolina uniform citation. It's not a Gates County ordinance citation. So there's some questions of liability there as well. When it gets to court and to be adjudicated, how are we gonna take care of that?
I would think we would refer to the sheriff's department, but it's not spelled out, I believe. it's not.
Okay, well, the ordinance states sworn law enforcement. Sworn law enforcement goes anywhere from sheriff's office, highway patrol, North Carolina wild game, land game, which is a game warden, and on. So if a state trooper comes into court and sees somebody standing on the front steps smoking a cigarette, is that state trooper going to enforce that law? No, because it's not his duties and his responsibilities.
This would be the county director or supervisor, whoever's over that particular department or employee, they would be the one that would provide the notification. But I understand you notify them you need to cease. If they don't, then you give them a second notice, and after that, then they're issued a citation of a $50 fine.
and I think, and certainly we need clarification about that part, but I think most of us do realize that it would never come to that. You see somebody smoking, you say, this is a no tobacco-free zone, please move, good items. And most people comply. We did it at ball games. I'm collecting tickets, people come in smoking, they say, you can't smoke here. It's no big deal, most people stuffed it out and went into the game. We didn't ever have the incident. Also, we have in our health insurance and our policies, programs to help people if they are employees who are smoking, to get, cease that. But, the infraction only comes in after they have been warned or have a written notice to the person. I mean, it's not that you see somebody smoking, you're going to write them a ticket. But we need some clarification, I agree.
But let me ask the county manager if she can elaborate on this. I see general statute on this.
Which page?
Well, I'm at the part where it starts with Gates County.
Okay.
Okay. So in our ordinance, we're adopting a general statute, North Carolina general statute template basically for smoking in public places, right? And we're not drafting this saying here are the rules.
No, there's not a general statute that states all of this. And Melissa has actually been working on this, and I think that's what she could probably answer questions. But it was in 2006 when this was adopted, in 2010 with the session law. And we're going back now and updating ours, but there's not a set template by the state that says this, and this, if that's what you're asking. We could still say if we wanted to, you can smoke in vehicles. The state does not say you cannot smoke in a county vehicle.
I see what you're doing.
And things have changed, with tobacco, with the new vapor shop. I mean, you have vapor shops in some areas.
I hear what Commissioner Jordan is
is saying and asking. And, you know, we do need to be able to respond to the public if we're asked, you know, how is this going to be enforced? How far does it go? Who's collecting the $50? You know, all of that. And I do agree, probably in the real world, there's two scenarios in the real world. We hope that that person would comply, but they're not going to, you know, if I'm walking through the hallway of the courthouse and I see somebody smoking and I'm not wearing my necktie, and just Jack Oates walking through there with a ball cap on, and I say, hey, you're not supposed to smoke in here. And that person says, I don't care, and he just keeps on smoking. I mean, you know, is that really going to get enforced? Is really anything going to happen? I hope that person complies. But I mean, each case is going to be sort of directed. Sheriff, I think, Jack Oates with the ball cap on, how far do I take it? I make that comment and I keep walking. Or I make that comment and the guy doesn't comply. Do I go to the, or pointing at the sign, still, he may be a bully, he's going to keep on smoking. So it really, Commissioners, I really believe that each situation will be determined on the person who is wanting the person to stop. How far do they take it? Yeah, I mean, do they turn around and walk down the hall to the sheriff's department? And then it takes a different route because we have a person who can enforce the ordinance. So it's a really a wide range. And it still doesn't do away with clarification. We need to have that, but it's still a wide range of what action, where it will, how far it will go, where it will stop. And it all depends on two things. How far is a person troubled by the infraction takes it, and when the person complies. I mean, if I go get the sheriff, he sees the sheriff coming down the hall, and he complies right then. He sees the sheriff or a deputy coming, and he puts out a cigarette. Well, he's complied at that point. And the way I see it, Sheriff, he complied. All you can do from that point on is say thank you. Don't let that happen again. I mean, I don't think that you or one of your deputies would cite him if you see him complying at that point.
Are you talking, so, Commissioner Jordan mentioned, the third offense?
Let me read this. Under section 7.6, it's been lined out in the last page of the ordinance. It says enforcement penalties. Penalty for violation following oral or written notice by the person in charge of the area described in section 2, or his or her design, failure to cease smoking or using tobacco products constitutes an infraction punishable by a fine of not more than $50. A citation may be issued by a sworn law enforcement officer. So the sheriff department supposedly would have to issue that citation. Conviction of an infraction under this section has no consequence other than payment of penalty, and no court costs may be addressed. So how do you get them to pay the penalty if they may not have money? You can't have court costs. And when you go to this general statute 153A 123, it says a county may provide fines and penalties for violation of its ordinances and may secure injunctions and abatement orders to further ensure compliance with this ordinance as provided by this section. And B, it says, unless the Board of Commissioners has provided otherwise, violation of a county ordinance is a misdemeanor or infraction. Well, we said it's not. An ordinance may provide for, by express statement, that the maximum fine term of imprisonment or infraction penalty to them be imposed for a violation is some amount of money or number of days less than the maximum imposed by General Statute 14-4. So it seems to me that we should have something in here that says, okay, if you don't pay the fine, you're gonna be do community service or do no more than 5 days jail term. I'm just throwing it out there.
If you'd like, we can take this back. We try to keep this simple based on other policies. We can go back and review it and bring it back either at the July meeting or the August meeting, depending on what we find and what advice we get from legal.
I think it needs to be clarified because we may not have had a situation in 20 years, but there's always one situation where it comes up, it could come up. And we put out basically a law that really has no teeth in it, so to speak. It's just something we put out there and say, hey, if we say something to you twice and you don't do it, we $50 fine. But guess what? You may not pay it until what? One person will pay it, the other won't. So that's it.
Well,
We gotta
first
put-
of all, you go from, you don't jump to the fine. If it's an employee, you go to oral notice, you ask.
Well, you just said a minute ago it was countywide. So are we going to specifically
No,
say
it
county
states
employees?
beforehand that county employees are subject to county personnel policy.
Okay,
It's,
that's policy, okay.
the county policy.
So is it one time, I give you 3 warnings in 4 years? Or the 2 warnings in 4 years and then the third time in the 6th year, I give you a citation? It's too much open area here to cover with just the terminology you got on that word is on the paper. And it's gonna be hard to enforce.
But we need to take it back to our legal and let them run it. Let's just table this until,
Actually, may I make a suggestion? Sheriff, it sounds like you've got a lot of good suggestions on that. Can I get with you and work on some amendments to it?
Certainly, I'm gonna make a couple of phone calls. Absolutely, that'd be great.
I would like to also see, have Pitt, our attorney,
That's even better.
yeah, to look it over once.
okay, I'll entertain a motion to table until the legal and sheriff have a chance to review the policy, if they make suggestions.
Madam Chairman, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, this motion is tabled. Oh, yeah, it is, I'm trying to move us along. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, so that is tabled. Budget amendments. Still clearing up.
No, ma'am, this is for this fiscal year.
Okay, we have 3. The first one is to carry forward funds for animal shelter upgrade to be completed in fiscal year 2018 in the amount of $46,000.
Okay, this is for the animal shelter that we made a commitment for last year.
Yes.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second motion, Madam Chair.
Motion's been made and seconded, discussion, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Amendment 2 is also to carry forward funds budgeted in fiscal year 17 for the historic courthouse in the amount of $50,000.
okay, isn't it 250 license? I mean, isn't that?
Well, it's a transfer fund.
Madam
Okay,
Chairman, I make a motion we approve this amendment.
I'll second that motion, Madam Chair.
okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Budget amendment number 3 is to budget for the courthouse roof replacement project in the amount of $275,000.
Okay, that is money coming out of fund balance.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Yes, ma'am. I make a motion that we approve this budget amendment number 3.
And I'll second that motion, Madam Chair.
Motion's been made and seconded, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
And that'll do it.
We also have some surplus items.
Madam Chairman, I would like to just mention that I observed, in the expenditure for the water department, we had an overage for analysis of water.
What page?
Yes, sir. That is also, remember, a month behind, but also some of those are fees incurred during the hurricane.
So we haven't got to.
FEMA has not reimbursed anything. But that account line at year end was balanced out. That's a month behind. So as of June 30th, we hadn't adjusted it. But we have not received anything from FEMA.
That's why it's important to have a fund balance, because FEMA is so slow in paying. And high material really got tight the last concern now.
May I make a recommendation for these three surplus? May I make a recommendation that they all be voted on at one time, because all of the materials that are requested to be surplus are very out of date, and some of it has not been used. It's been shelved, or it is not working properly.
Okay, two items are from the register of deeds on mapping scanners and a map printer, and from the tax office, a old monitor and hard drive as well, or two hard drives, I guess, or desktop.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion that the surplus disposition of these three entries be approved for gov deals.
Motion's been made and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. I did go in the register of deeds office the other day, and they're very excited about that new map printer, and ready to get it in service. So that's a good thing. Okay, any citizen comments? Yes,
I
ma'am.
actually have a question.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
know when they were talking
Okay,
about,
can you give us your name?
I'm sorry, my name is Mary Ann Pittman.
Yes.
That's 1-2. When they were talking about the renovations to the middle school, I know they were talking about the roof and not wanting to perforate the membrane. My first meeting, so I'm not sure what's going on. Has anybody given any consideration to solar panels for the roof?
And then make it energy more efficient.
Yeah.
I believe they're beyond that stage already.
I don't recall that coming up. Specifically for the roof, I'm pretty sure I have heard them come up for the roof.
On the old roof, on the existing roof, that's probably not structurally could handle the weight probably. I had not heard of anything about the new addition, putting anything up there. I know that there's a bill that's going up without more permission, and that's something they are looking at, seeing about the ways to use energy. But I don't know if that's going to come to fruition or not.
If it's too late for the middle school at this point, I'd like to make a suggestion that any future roof renovations, that you take that into consideration. It's a long-term savings for the county, doesn't hurt anybody.
That's right.
I know, and usually there's grant money out there, so it doesn't necessarily even have to cost the county anything. So it's a good way to save us money and do a solid for everybody.
And I know sisters that are taking advantage of that, and something that we need to think about and how to be more environmentally friendly and as well.
And if you're worried about it, causing a leak down the road, you might also find some acreage somewhere,
Well, a lot of people
have solar, doesn't have to be on building.
Well, but in Europe, most of them are on buildings. But, a lot of places are going with wind turbine like a site, because that takes up a small footprint.
Sure.
But you have to go through a study for that, because I did look into that.
But I know some schools have done a wind turbine
Yes.
on site and to
And it's
create
very cost efficient to do that.
cost efficient.
But the other thing is you don't necessarily have to, well, first of all, there are solar roofs now where you can get what looks like a metal roof, but it's actually a solar roof. And also, it doesn't necessarily have to be attached to the roof. It could probably be attached to the building, to the outer walls. So there are, ways to go. And maybe the Board of Ed is the place to bring that up as opposed to here.
Well, I think probably on this project, it's maybe probably too late, but certainly if we get funds for additional funds, what we were talking about, that would be certainly something that we need to look into. Also, it'd be a good teaching point, so, for the students.
And if they decided to, or if they decided to clear the front, that would be a place to put a solar field. Although I still think the roof is a better plan, but it's just a thought. And the other thing that I'd like to bring up is we have the opioid situation, which I understand is getting serious in the county. I know that there is ambulance corps not that far from the library and the community center, but seconds count in that situation, and I would like us not to be one of those places where something happens at a place like the community center and the library and somebody overdoses before we take action. I'd like to see us be proactive on that. Maybe it's time to train library personnel and community center personnel in the use of Narcan and allow them to have it. And I don't know if that has to go further up the line before a decision can be made, but I would hate like hell to lose a young person or anybody when something can be done.
And it certainly is in a crisis state throughout this region, and we are planning on having a...
Well, I was gonna bring that up during comments if I was about
Okay.
to comment.
Okay, because we are going to have something done, public information, and look, we'll turn it over to you right now.
Okay, well, first, those two departments are not county employees. They work for different entities, they do not work for Gates County government. But for the commissioners, as you may recall, at the April meeting in Terrell County, they discussed the opioid meeting that they would like for everyone to have. I've received information, I'm not sure if you received the information, I couldn't tell if it went electronically to you or not, I can forward it to you. But I would like, on the July 17th meeting, we have a 7 o'clock meeting, if we can meet at 6 o'clock to discuss that, they would like for us to have a meeting. Sheriff, if you're available at 6 o'clock on the 17th as well. And I'll send you the information that they sent us. You may have already received something from the Sheriff's Association, because they said it was with MCDCC, and the Sheriff's Association was also working with it. Okay.
Video or anything?
There's a video, I'll forward you the email. And we can move forward with what needs to be done.
I think they want every county to have a program.
Right.
Within the county, so we have to make plans about how we're going to present it and have a public meeting, advertise it,
And who's involved.
and who's involved. Because it is a crisis situation. When you see in Elizabeth City, people, ODing in the fast food restaurants, bathrooms, it can happen here. We don't have fast food, but we have restaurants that they can go in.
And what methods are we going to use to promote that?
That's what we'll
That's what we'll
discuss.
work on.
Okay.
On a personal note, I know that there's nothing the commissioners can do about this, but I recommend to everybody who's a churchgoer, talk to your churches about setting up NA meetings. It's Narcotics Anonymous. Anybody who needs help with that, I know people up in Virginia Beach who might be able to help us work on that with our churches. Because, it's great to do what we can out in the field, but treatment here, it's expensive and we don't have facilities here. What we can do is 12-step meetings. It's something, at least to help people, get their lives back together.
That's true. And I know the sheriff would agree that it is a big problem in the county. Okay, thank you, Ms. Pittman, for those insights. Okay, Commissioner comments. I'll talk to Commissioner Owens. Start with you.
Well, happy 5th of July to everybody. Hope you had a good 4th. Good to see everybody here. Just been to thank for the comments as well as everyone else. Those are issues that are rooted with the history, you can be a good parent, and these things can still happen to your children. There's a lot of things out there. So there's no one party, no one person to blame for that. But rather than try to find blame, try to find solutions is the proper way to go about it. Welcome to the new employee that was introduced to us today, and just to touch on one thing that county manager said. It is Gates County Library, but it's Albemarle Regional Library. They control all the functions out there. We're just mandated to supply the funds to allow it to operate. Thank you.
All right, I too want to thank everyone for being here and thank all of our county employees, our citizens, all that we do to try to make Gates County the best county we can be. We'd like to be proud of Gates County and in order to make it a county that we're proud of, that others would like to live here, we've got to do what we can. We thank you for being a part of helping us to make decisions. Have a great summer.
I would too thank everybody for coming and taking part and showing an interest in your county. And as Jack commented, I hope everybody had a very good 4th, and we just try to remember why we have a 4th. Everybody around the world has a 4th of July, but they don't have one we have. And it's quite a blessing, quite a freedom is not free. And just welcome our 2 new employees that have Cardinals now for the time here, but glad to have both of them. And now to help me, Helen, you was both Nettie Parker, is that the right name?
No, that's not her last name. It starts with a B. I can't think of what it is right now. I apologize.
I didn't pick it up either, actually.
I would first like to comment, don't know how many are aware of this, but we have the Lane family, particularly Bundy Lane, and his daughter Emma is representing the United States in the Olympics this coming. And I guess county manager is aware of that. So certainly want to make the rest of our citizens are aware of it and how proud we are of her and certainly what her family's done. Again, to piggyback what our other commissioners have said about our Independence Day, we're awfully thankful and certainly proud to have an Independence Day, and that is for all of us. I also want to comment on all the folks that not only are here, but the other people we hear from and guide us on some of the decisions we make and some of the things we hear. So thank you for that, and take care.
I agree, and thank y'all for coming and being part of the process. We love to hear from our citizens, and it helps us do our job. But sometimes a null pair of eyes sees things that we do not see. And so thank you for coming. And the 4th of July is a very special day. And as Commissioner Felton said, freedom is not free. A lot of people have sacrificed over the years so that we could sit here and have this discussion. And some have given the supreme sacrifice. And we never should forget what they have done. And as we go forward, help us to continue the tradition of serving our country. You know, I've got who was a gentleman, my country, right or wrong, but my country. You know, and that's something. You know, we don't do everything perfect, but I wouldn't trade us for any other country. So have a good afternoon. Have a good rest of July. We'll come back on the 17th and at 6 o'clock, and we'll be right here. I think we have created a record because there is no issues on closed session. So we are out of here before 12 o'clock. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Y'all can't go anywhere though. She has some health insurance stuff to do.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Yes.
Yes, she made a
Can you
motion.
understand that the